Hello, everybody. My name is Pierce of the Pearson Experience. I hope you all are doing well, and I hope you're ready for Chapter 2 of the Pearson Experience. Cue the music. It's the Pearson Experience. Now, I hope you enjoyed that wonderful intro because I certainly enjoyed making it. It was a lot of fun. But we're not here to talk about my new intro. We're here to talk about God's hand over my college selection process. Chapter 2, or let me just start from the beginning. This is going to be a 3-part series. This next couple chapters, chapter 2, 3, and 4. This is my dog, by the way. He's going to be probably popping in and out on multiple different episodes. But yes, this is going to be a 3-part series. The first part is God's hand over my application process. The second part is God's hand over my audition process. And the third part is God's hand over my selection process. So this whole thing is about how God has ordained my steps and basically mapped out where I was going to go to college. As you can see, the final destination was Vanderbilt University! But there was a whole lot of stuff that went into how I got there. And so we're going to talk about that today. The first part, of course, Chapter 2, God's hand over my application process. So let's get started. Now, of course, before you can actually go to a college, you gotta search for the one that's right for you. And so I began my college search in about July, August of 2023. And of course, not say of course. Some of you may not know that I am actually a musician by trade. I'm a singer first, and then I don't just sing opera, but I'm a singer first. And then I play the piano, my darling, the piano. I play the bass guitar. It's one of my favorite instruments now. I also play the regular guitar, and I'm hoping to get my hands on the drums. The drums, the saxophone, and the harp. It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. But I digress. The college search. So because I'm a musician, I was looking, of course, through the most popular of music schools. We got Peabody, Juilliard, NYU, Berkeley, Boston Conservatory, you name it. I was looking for it because let's get it straight. I want a good music education. My goal, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm going to release a separate video about my music testimony, but my ultimate goal is to become like a kind of a self-sufficient producer who can like play a ton of instruments, sing his own songs, and then produce the songs. So that's kind of the goal. So I really want a strong foundation for my music education, and I feel like, some of these popular schools could do it for me. But then, I've been taking my faith a lot more seriously in these past couple years. And I really want to minister the gospel of Jesus Christ through my music. So I was like, why don't I look for Christian music schools? Because that makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. If I want to do Christian music, then maybe I should look for Christian music schools. So then I started looking through some lesser known schools. Cedarville University is out in Ohio. It's actually a pretty cool Christian university. Wheaton College, I think, has a conservatory. So I was like, that's cool. It can be in Illinois, in the country. At least I think it's in the country. I don't know. I'm not a good geographer, but that's why I'm doing music. And then and then the last one I found was Messiah University, which is in Pennsylvania. And I'll talk about that more in a second. Okay, so from the get-go, Messiah University looked like a university or a school that like fit what I was looking for in a college almost immediately, because like I go on their page and it was like Christ preeminent since 1908 or 1909. I can't remember which one, but I was like, Christ preeminent out of college? That's in 2023. Back when then it was 2023. I was like, that sounds a little crazy, but I was very excited to see that God was first at the university. So I was like, okay, let's keep digging. And when I looked at their music program, I was like, okay, this is cool. They even had a music worship program. I was like, whoa, hold on. What are we talking about now? Because I looked at Cedarville's music worship program, which is actually very good. And if anyone wants to check that out, I suggest you do. If you're looking to go into worship music. But I like Messiah's program even better. And it had a lot of internship opportunities. The performance spaces looked nice on the website. And I was like, okay, let's check this out. So I presented it to my mother, and she was, rightfully so, kind of skeptical, because she was like, does this match the caliber of school that you deserve to go to? And I was like, it's about God. It's not about all the academics and stuff like that's kind of secondary. And so in September of 2023, my mother took me and my brother down to go visit the school. And when I got there, it was so surreal. Let me tell you, when You first get to Messiah University, you don't see any of the school. You don't see, well, you wouldn't see the school. You see this giant church. It's like on a hill, and I was like, "This is great." I'm gonna put the Bible verse on the screen, but where Jesus says, "A city on a hill cannot be hidden," and I was like, "This is it. This is what I want." And I got a tour of the music facility. All the buildings were beautiful, and the staff was nice when they talked to me. So I was like, "This is it." People were smiling, genuine smiles, which is not very common in 2023 and now 2024. People's joy is stricken, and I was like, "This is a joyful place, and I want to be here." And so after that visit, you couldn't tell me anything. My mother was like, "Okay, but we need to keep our options open," and I was like, "I'm sold. I'm sold." So she and I got into arguments about things. I talked to my people at family gatherings and stuff like that, and they were like, "Pierce, keep your options open. You gotta go through the process, keep going." And I was like, "But Messiah University is this, and has service opportunities, it has ways that I could serve as a Christian." And I was like, "This is amazing. This is all that I want in a school." And so I was a bit prideful, I will say. In retrospect, I was definitely prideful. So God had to humble me, but we'll get into that in parts 2 and 3. But yeah, I thought Messiah University was the one I wanted to go to, but I did not allow that to keep me from applying to other schools. So let's get into the final list, shall we? So, as you probably assumed, Messiah University was a default on the list. It was definitely my number one option at the time. My mother's like not top 10 option, but it was on the list because my mother wanted to respect my desires and I wanted what I wanted. The other one that was guaranteed on the list was Peabody Conservatory at the Johns Hopkins University. And that's because I have a connection, my mother and I have a connection to Dr. Carl DuPont, who works there as a voice teacher. He's been a voice teacher, a mentor, and a supporter of mine for many years. I'm grateful to him. Shout out to him if he watches this video for some reason. I thank you so much for all your help and service in my life. But yeah, he did a whole lot, and I was like, I would love to study voice with him. So Peabody was definitely on the list, and it's a great school. It's a great music school. My mother recommended plenty of schools that I, in my Messiah University craze. And again, this is no shade to Messiah University. It's a beautiful place, and if you want to check it out, you should. But she was throwing out schools, and I was just shutting them down because I was so addicted to the school. So she put out Curtis, Eastman School of Music, Berkeley School of Music, etc., etc. And I was like, no, 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 no. That's what I was doing. But she really believed in this school called Vanderbilt University, which, as you can see, was a good investment. But I was shooting that school down too. But she is spirit led, so she was like, we're applying for the school. Vanderbilt University's Blair School of Music, and I was like, okay, if she won't give in, I'll just, fill out the application. They won't let me in, whatever, it's okay. I also like Boston University in the past. I went on a college tour, I believe, in 2019, maybe 2018, because pandemic stuff. But I think it was 2019, early 2019, and I liked the school, so we applied there. My voice teacher at the time from Howard Community College, Dr. Langjun Shi, and other trusted adults recommended University of Maryland because of the new additions of Jason Max Ferdinand and Kevin Short. So I applied because of those new faculty additions. And Darren Atwater is the former music director at Celebration Church in Columbia, the church that I go to now. He recommended Belmont University and Indiana University's Jacob School of Music. So both of those I applied to after some skepticism, and I was like, okay, I'll just do it. And you know what the final number ended up being? Guess what? That was a poor drum roll, I'm sorry. But the number ended up being 7, which is, if you don't know, it's God's number of completion, 7. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can rock with the 7. And yeah, those were the 7 schools that I decided to go to, or decided to apply for. Again, Peabody, Messiah University, Boston University, Vanderbilt University, IU Bloomington, Belmont University, and the University of Maryland, College Park. So after we applied, I got past all the first applications, by the way, so that was good. My grades were good. I just taken the SAT in October, and I got a 1500. Praise be to God, because the night before, actually, that's a funny story too. This is about God's favor too. God's hand over my application. I took a practice SAT test after doing the couple in school. I got around 1300, so I wasn't too confident, but I took a practice SAT test on Khan Academy, and I got like a 1530 or something like that out of 1600. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can do pretty well. The next day, I was not confident at all. I thought I did terribly. The score report came back 1500. I was like, thank you, Jesus. But yeah, let's get into the pre-screening process now. Now, for all of you who are wondering what I meant when I said pre-screenings, most music schools have so many applicants that they need to whittle down the applicant pool before they even get to the real auditions. And preliminary auditions, aka pre-screenings, are the process that they use to whittle that number down. And in my case, as a vocal performance major, I had to sing 2 to 3 classical songs, record those, and send those to the school. And the songs that I picked were Wild Swans by H. Leslie Adams. It's a cool English art song. Then Venez-moi ma bien-aimée from Lil Oedies. It's in as a French aria. It's really beautiful, and I could sing it well, so that was good. And the final one was Quanto è bella, quanto è cara from L'Elisir d'Amore, which is an Italian aria that I could not sing with complete excellence at the time, but it was good enough. And I sent them to the schools, and later they were all accepted, which was good. Vanderbilt even included a monologue, which was very interesting because, I sing classically for the sake of collegiate education. But it was cool because, I have some acting chops, so it was fine. But the real crazy one, okay, is because the pre-screening auditions were December 1st. They were due December 1st. And so on November 30th, my mother and I, we sat down together. We submitted the pre-screening videos, no problem, no issues, until we got to Indiana University's Jacob School of Music, which requires me to submit 3 classical songs, but one of those was already selected for me. And it was a song called Vicino. Sorry, I almost said it wrong. It's called Vicino. It's an Italian song, and I didn't know it. And at 11 p.m. on November 30th, with the deadline being December 30th, the deadline was December 1st at 11:59. I was like, there's no way I'm getting this song done in a day. And I was reading it. I was like, this looks a little difficult. It was 11 o'clock, but, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this in a day. And to add pressure to the situation, the next day, December 1st is the next day, I wanted to do this evangelism ministry with Crew, which is a ministry at the community college I was doing enrolling at, and Calvary Chapel, Ellicott City. So I was really hurt. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. I got to stick to the evangelism. And the next morning, I even had an argument with my mother. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this Indiana University thing. And she was like, no, you're going to do it. And so I was really upset. But God was like, I have something for you at IU. So just go ahead and do it. Follow through, and you'll see that I know what I'm doing. And I was like, okay, I'll trust you. So after school that day, I went home, recorded the song. I hung up the sheet music, and I was like reading it, but it was good. It was good. The recording went well, even though I was, looking up from time to time. That's what it looked like. But it went well. And mommy came home just in time to take me to the evangelism ministry, which leads me to the conclusion that God knows better than I do. God knows much, much better than I do, because I thought it had to be one or the other. But he was like, if you follow your mother's instructions, honor your mother and father, then I'll make the plan for you. Follow my instructions, and I'll help you out, because I'll open doors that you didn't even know existed. And I was able to do both. The fire of the Lord fell upon me that day. I was preaching the gospel to people, and I was so excited to be doing that. And I was so grateful that I was able to both get the pre-screening audition in and share the gospel. That just added to the fire of God in my heart that day. So I praise God for that. And now it's time to close. Before I give some closing remarks, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you again for watching the Pearson Experience, Chapter 2. Go ahead and check out Chapter 1 if you haven't, and stay tuned for Chapters 3 and 4 coming real soon. Now, anyways, let's recap and see how God's hand moved over this whole application process. I think, in general, this season of my life was colored more by pride than by witnessing God's humbling hand over my life, because, I thought I was going to Messiah University. That was my strong conviction. I was like, everything else is unholy, it's terrible, and this school, Messiah University, is going to allow me to preach the gospel to the nations and share the gospel with the U.S. and do missions trips and fulfill my dreams of doing Christian music. I was like, everything rests in Messiah University, and that's what I thought. But we'll see in later parts that God had something else in store. So I feel like he was setting up, in this stage of my life, he was setting up for the greatness that was to come, which you can see was at Vanderbilt University, and we'll talk about how that happened, because that's also miraculous. Of course, I ended up auditioning pre-screen auditions and submitting applications to 7 schools. So the number of completion, I was like, all right, God, I see what you're doing. And in this season, I realized that the peace of God is very important as well, because I didn't have peace even while I was arguing with family members adamantly that I was right about Messiah University. I didn't have peace that I was in the right, and I prayed that God would lead me in how I select my college. And I even laid out like pieces of paper at one point, and I was like, all right, God, I need you to decide for me. I need you to decide which one. But yeah, he knew what's best, as you can see. And just stay tuned to see what God did for my auditions and ultimately for my college selection. Thank you guys so much for being here. God bless you, and have a great day. Thank you for watching the Pearson Experience.